We welcome you to the Eagles pregame show brought to you by SeatGeek, the final pregame show of the 2024 regular season. I'm Goldstein, joined by Matt Brown this week. Sam Hine not with us this week. His third week off of the pregame show. It's absolutely unacceptable. We're not going to let it happen ever again. That's a joke, by the way. We love Sam. But we're back after 2 weeks, and we are here for, not the most exciting game. You could say Eagles-Giants, 13-3 Eagles, the 3-13 Giants. The Eagles already clinched the 2 seed, already clinched the NFC East, and the Giants are looking just to stay in the top 5 of the draft. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing great. We were talking pre before the show about how this game kind of means nothing. A lot of the stars aren't playing. We got the full list of inactives about half an hour ago, but hey, Eagles football is Eagles football. I don't care if it's Kenny Pickett starting quarterback, Tanner McKee starting a quarterback. I don't care if half the team's out. I'm watching today, and it's going to be a great Eagles game, I think.
Yeah, our inactive list today is Jalen Hurts, Darius Slay, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Nakobe Dean, Saquon Barkley, Zach Bond, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, and Jalen Carter. So all the guys who were out or doubtful throughout this week, well, they held their word correctly. They are all not playing. So, but this leads into the conversation that has kind of been, rolling through the past few weeks of, is this the correct choice by the Eagles? Is this the route they should be going and sitting their starters against the Giants? You obviously have the Saquon Barkley record. He's 101 yards away from the long-lasting Eric Dickerson all-time rushing record. He's only 101 yards away from that. Do you like this decision to sit Saquon and forget about the record, or should he be out there with all the other starters going for that record today?
Not only do I like this decision, I love this decision. I'm so tired of being told that, records and all this is what makes a season. That's loser mentality to me. You go into a season with Super Bowl aspirations, you go to win the Super Bowl. And I understand. Would I love to see Saquon Barkley go out there and rush for 100 yards today, set the all-time rushing record? 100% I would. But I think the bigger point is, and the reason why I have this take and why I feel this way, more so because the Eagles have not had a bye week since week 5 of the year. They have played 12 straight games this season in a row against very tough opponents, games where they were in shootouts half the time. It was coming down the last wire. Their stars were playing almost the entire game. There were not many games where they were really sitting out of games. And that's a lot on a veteran team like you have. Guys like Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, Darius Slay, even like A.J. Brown, those guys have taken beatings all year. I don't think Lane Dickerson's that healthy. I think he's a guy with this knee injury that he's had the last couple of weeks is going to be a guy that you're going to be like, he was playing on a torn something for the last 8 weeks of the year, and he managed to finish the season. Those guys, they are tough guys. I know they are, especially the offensive linemen. I love every single offensive lineman. But after not having a rest week for the past 3 months, you need time off on your feet, especially because the NFC is a really tough conference this year around. All 7 teams, I could give you a really good case why each team wins the Super Bowl. I don't think I could do the same for the AFC. If you told me why this team went out there and won a Super Bowl, I would agree with you in that statement because I think every single one could be a Super Bowl caliber team this year. And that's really tough for the Eagles team who cannot get the bye now because they can't get the 1 seed. They're stuck at 2. They need this bye week right now. This is 100% the right move to do.
Yeah, and the risk at injury as well in this game. Last year, you saw A.J. Brown got hurt, Reed Blankenship got hurt all in that Week 18 game at MetLife Stadium, and they weren't ready to go for the playoff game in Tampa. So many right reasons for this. And going back, Saquon Barkley not breaking the record has been the big story throughout the week, and it's caused some turmoil with people going against the Eagles, hating this decision, thinking it's a must. Now the Eagles must win the Super Bowl because of it. Here's a clip from Get Up on ESPN earlier this week.
Andy Reid always rests his guys when they have everything locked up. All that is well and good, but they don't always have a record of this magnitude that also hangs in the balance. What's your reaction to the decision?
Better go win the whole thing then. I get it. Football-wise, I get it. The fan in me is bummed about it because he's so close. And I understand the most important thing is going to win the Super Bowl. Better go get it because you don't want to go for 2 for him. You don't want to pass on, having his name and your team and your name and your franchise attached to that record and then not also win the Super Bowl. So if you're Philly and Nick Sirianni, I 1,000% understand the football element of it. Go win the Super Bowl.
I think what we're seeing, though, is also all these coaches and how they view their team. Do what's best for your organization.
Sure.
When you look at Dan Campbell and playing those guys last week, knowing that they had this matchup versus the Minnesota Vikings this week, when you look at Andy Reid not playing Mahomes or whatnot, and then you look at Nick Sirianni deciding to sit Saquon Barkley and other guys, you have to do what's best for your team. But I agree with Dan. I'm a football fan. I want to see records get broken. I want to see Saquon eclipse a record that's been set since 40 years ago.
Yep. Yeah.
We talked about it the last time I was on the show, 1984. Greeny, that was the year I was born.
Yes, you mentioned
Not
that.
ironically.
Right.
You got to go because you're taking yourself. Also, you're kind of taking yourself out of the MVP and the Offensive Player of the Year.
You are not
conversation.
you were definitively taking yourself out of it.
You don't want to look back in February and be like, oh, we didn't get the record, and I know you have to go win it as a team. That's my thing. Like that, there is now even more of an emphasis. Go get one of those done. Go win the Super Bowl.
Go get one of those done. The two have nothing to do with each other. One is a personal record for Saquon Barkley. The other one is the Super Bowl. That is the ultimate goal in a season. You go into a season wanting and dying to win that Super Bowl. You don't go into the season for the rushing record unless you're the running back and you're sometimes maybe thinking about it if you're getting close to it. So this is when I ask you, Matt Brown, does this decision make this Eagles run Super Bowl or bust?
The funny thing with Super Bowl or bust, when you say that, I think that's the goal every season for every single team. I don't understand at the beginning of the season when the team comes together in August for summer workouts, for even OTAs, your goal is to win a Super Bowl. Point blank. That's what you have your 53 guys come together to do. You don't go out there and your goal to begin the year is we want our running back to break Eric Dickerson's record, our quarterback to not throw. Like, you have individual goals, obviously, as you want players to succeed, and those goals will help you get to that final goal. But your point blank number one goal at the top of the list, what do you want to accomplish this year as a team? Win the Super Bowl. That's number one. So this idea that Super Bowl or bust is the key thing for Penn State Penn State. I'm so overwhelmed with Penn State. I love them so much. The really thing with the Eagles this year is winning the championship. That's number one. And the thing with Saquon Barkley, I love Saquon, and they were even talking about how as a fan, they really want to see it. But as a moderate fan, as an Eagles fan, if that's your goal, is to win the Super Bowl. And Barkley, he's putting a really good smile on. I know he wants to break that record and go out there. But when you have a team, you make it your mission to win a Super Bowl. Your mission isn't to go out there and get your guys certain yards and make sure that they end the season number one in the league in rushing, number one in the league in passing, or whatever it would be, or number one in sacks. Your goal, the end of the year, Super Bowl or bust. That's how it should be going into the year. If you think otherwise, you're not a serious franchise, in my opinion. You're not doing the things that you're trying to do to get to that Super Bowl. You're just going out there, well, maybe we'll rush for pretty well this year, get a couple Pro Bowlers. That'll be a successful season. No, your goal is to go out there, win a Super Bowl no matter what. And the thing with Barkley not playing, if you're going to have him play this week and get that record, you know how many other guys are going to have to play? And we even talked about this, about how you're going to have the O-line who's banged up go out there. The tight ends are going to have to go out there. And he's going to stay in and get that record, because if he's going to play today, if he were to do that, he would be playing until he got the record. That could go as long as the entire game if they really stuff the rush. So I just don't think it's a smart idea for them to go out there. And I hate this narrative that now that they don't go for this record, it's Super Bowl bust. That's the goal for every team. That's the 14 teams next week that are going to be playing in the playoffs. That's their goal, Super Bowl or bust at that point in the season. So it's whatever at this point. I kind of hate that saying, but that's just how it is right now.
Yeah, and I mean, the Eagles were always going to be criticized on how they do in the postseason. Like, there were zero alterations to this team's playoff hopes based on their decision on what to do in Week 18. Like, nothing has changed at all, except
nope.
Starters aren't going to play against the 3-13 New York Giants in a meaningless Week 18 game. And if you want to say, okay, you get a moral victory if you don't win the Super Bowl, at least you have a moral victory of a record. Moral victories don't exist. I'm gonna throw that out there. Is that
No,
a hot
I agree.
take? Moral victories are unexistent.
No.
I would use another word if this wasn't, a family-friendly show.
No, but that's loser mentality, in my opinion, is the moral victory. Well, we rushed for 1,700 yards. That was, first in the conference, second in the league. We sent 6 Pro Bowlers to the Pro Bowl. That's pretty good. Loser mentality, moral victory. Like that things you say to make yourself feel better. No, you want to win, and that you do everything in your power to win. And everything in your power to win is not letting Saquon play this week, not letting any of the starters play this week, going out and honestly putting up a humongous game next week against whoever the Eagles end up playing. And that's how you show that you're for real and you're ready to go in this postseason.
Yeah, we'll get to the possible teams the Eagles could be playing next week. But a starter that is going to play this week and is returning off the IR is Dallas Goedert. He had a knee injury. He's been out for 4 weeks. He's back. We didn't know if he was going to play this week, if they were going to save him for the postseason, but he's going to dust some rust off today. Are you excited to see Dallas back?
I actually really am, because I'm a big believer in Dallas Goedert, in the ability that he can be a top, player for not only this offense, but just overall in the NFL. I think he's so underrated for the tight end spot. He's not going to get the number one options in this Eagles offense because you are already a heavy running team. Even before this season, in the last couple of years when they've had running backs like Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift, when they've had Hurts, they've been a majority running team. And you have 2 very good wide receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So right away, that puts you on the 3rd totem pole for receiving yards and receptions and all that good stuff. So it already puts him at a disadvantage for numbers and stats. And he's not Travis Kelce and he's not George Kittle. We know those things already. But with Goddard, I really am glad that he's back, because we've seen it in signs this year. The big one I go back to is the Saints game, when he had a really big showing in week 3, when all of our guys on offense were hurt. Smitty went down with that concussion. And you could see that him and Barkley were kind of the 2 main pieces on that team. He had that huge catch to get him all the way down the field, huge yardage. And when he's healthy, he really helps your offense, because honestly, they kind of been struggling in the middle of the field. And this is nothing to Grant Calcaterra. He's been a very good fill-in, but you're kind of missing that off-the-ball route running that you get with Goddard, getting onto linebackers, because not that Grant can't do that. Goddard is a lot better at doing that than him. So if he were to come back, which he is, you're getting a lot more depth in your team. You're replacing E.J. Jenkins with now Dallas Goedert, which is a huge upgrade. But a big thing with Goddard I'm really looking forward to is him to prove that he deserves to be on this team, because like we've talked about, he's gotten injured a lot in these last couple of years, and he hasn't been able to stay on the field. But when he's on the field, he's great. He's not, though. It happens a lot. And I really think that with only 1 year coming up on his contract, and after next season he's done, I think this could be a really good showing on how he can be a part of this big offense going forward.
Yeah. Do you think this could be the final regular season game for Dallas Goedert as a Philadelphia Eagle?
100%. He is very expandable in the world of tight end. They have a first-round pick this year that they're able to use, and a very good couple tight ends are going to be sitting around the late first round. One of my favorite guys, Penn State, Tyler Warren, the Mackey Award winner. Colson Loveland from Michigan, another really good tight end. He's been one of the best guys in the nation. Harold Fannin, the Bowling Green tight end. They're all coming out this year, and they're going to be late first round to early second round pick guys, right around where Penn State can maybe use a pick on a tight end. And if they really feel that Goddard can be a guy that can be expended and traded for, maybe whether it's a second or a third, whatever types of picks they can get for him, I definitely think they can move off him, because his contract doesn't kill them. And he only has 1 year left on his deal. I don't know if they're going to sign him to another contract after 2025, especially if you can find options that are younger and, can better fit this offense. So I don't know. I don't want to say this is his last game, because it definitely doesn't seem like it. But this game, and I would say the next, hopefully 3, maybe 4 games for the playoffs, is the games for him to show out and show that he belongs on this offense and on this team.
All right. Tanner McKee is the Eagles' starting quarterback today. He's the guy that's going to be throwing the ball to Dallas Goedert. And, well, in his little bit of showing against Dallas last week, he looked like he looked like, the man. He was 3 for 4, 54 yards, 2 touchdowns. He came in for an injured Kenny Pickett, who is also not playing today. He has a ribs injury. What are you excited to see from Tanner McKee?
McKee has always been a guy since they drafted him out of Stanford that could be a guy that is just a good guy to have in the quarterback room. And that's nothing taken away against him. I think he could be a solid NFL quarterback in this league. He really hasn't gotten an opportunity to do it, but he always just seemed, from the things that I read about him coming out of the draft, after they drafted him, they said he was a smart kid. He knew how to read coverages well. He's a tall guy. He's got a solid arm. And guys like that are guys that you like to have as your backup quarterbacks. Guys in the QB room that can help you, see coverages well and find out ways that where guys are going. And it really is someone like that who can thrive in moments like this. He's not going to have the A.J. Browns and the Devontae Smiths of the world in this game. He's going to have the Johnny Wilsons and the Aniyah Smiths and the Jahan Dodsons for it to throw to. So it's already at a disadvantage for him. But this is a really good team, the Giants, for him to go up against, because this is a really weak defense that has struggled all year. Michael Penix just had his first start of the year a couple weeks ago at home against the Giants. And I think he put up like 30 something, maybe even 40 points, whatever. And yeah, he had all his big starters playing, but not the point. But that's a team. This is a Giants team that he really could strive for, and honestly gain success going forward. Because who knows what McKee can show you going forward. Maybe a guy like Kenny Pickett becomes expendable. Maybe you can get whatever you can for him. I know he has a year left on his deal, and the Eagles really said they wanted to keep him for 2 years. But if McKee can really start showing you signs, I thought I would get very, very comfortable with McKee being the backup if I can see a lot of good things starting today, really.
Yeah, and with McKee starting, I've said in the past I would like to see maybe Jalen Hurts go back out there and play a series or two for the Eagles today, but he remains in concussion protocol. He has not practiced since week 16 when we played Washington. Week 16 was the last time he played, and he hasn't practiced since he got injured with that concussion in Washington. Are you concerned at all about Jalen Hurts' status going into the playoff game next Saturday, Sunday, or Monday?
Concussions are really tricky in football, because especially with the way the NFL has made it to return to play. I've dealt with concussions before growing up in sports. They're not fun. I remember I had to take 2 weeks off back when I had mine way back when. And now we're coming to that point of 2 weeks for Hurts. It didn't really seem like a major hit at the time, but the more looking at it, during when I was looking back at that video of him hitting his head, he just didn't seem like he was there. So I am a little concerned that he'll be ready to go next week against the 7th seed, whoever we're going to end up playing. But I do think that he is progressing well. The signs have been saying that he has been progressing well throughout concussion protocol, and that he should be ready to go next week. And that's what you hope out of him. I'm not as concerned, because I feel like they're just making sure that he is 100% good to go. This week will be a big indicator, because if he can get off that injury report and start playing and get back to practice, whether even if it's limited, I do think that he will be good to go next week, Saturday, Sunday, whenever they end up playing the game, probably Saturday or Sunday. So I think he will be good to go. I'm not as concerned as I thought I would be, because it wasn't that deadly a hit. It wasn't. He just seemed like when he got up, he was not really there. It didn't seem like that bad of a hit, but he just didn't seem like himself. I don't entirely concerned for him. I think as long as he can clear that and get back to practice, whether it's limited, I think he should be good to go next week.
All right. Well, we will see what's up with that. We have seen good stuff from Kenny Pickett. Hopefully we don't have to get to that, but good stuff from Tanner McKee. Hopefully we get some more stuff from Tanner McKee today. So we will see. That will keep you updated on all the Jalen Hurts news on PhillySportSports.com. All right. A lot of backups playing today. We've talked about Tanner McKee. You mentioned some other guys. Give me like 2 or 3. Who are you most excited to watch play? today?
So number one, in a way, my most excited guy I'm ready to watch this week is Johnny Wilson. I love the Johnny Wilson pick back in April, the 7th-round kid out of Florida State. He just seems like a guy that is just seen as a problem. So one of my favorite movies of all time is Moneyball, with about the Oakland A's in the 2002 run where they didn't spend a lot of money and ended up making it to the playoffs, defying all odds. And their big thing in their movie that they recognize and they went off of is finding guys with not really disabilities, but things that made them weird and made them not normal. And they tried to look for those guys to fill their roster. And to me, that was kind of a guy I felt like Johnny Wilson was. Johnny Wilson was a guy who is kind of in that middle spot, doesn't know if he's really a wide receiver or a tight end. You know, I think he's 6'5", 6'6", however tall he is. He's upwards of probably almost 250 pounds. He's a big boy. Like, you really don't know what he is in the NFL. And to me, Johnny Wilson seems like a guy that if you could maybe slim down the weight a little bit and focus on the footwork, he could be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. It's going to take a lot, and I'm asking for a lot out of a guy who's a 7th-round pick, but I truly think that learning from a guy like A.J. Brown, who is another very tall and very big wide receiver, is someone that you could really learn how to take the next step in your game. And I'm really excited to see Johnny Wilson this week because, honestly, he's gotten a lot of reps in the last couple of weeks. But honestly, right now, he seems like wide receiver 1 going into today. It's him and Jahan Dotson are going to probably be the starting 2 wide receivers. And he's been known to win off balls, not really beat defenders, but just use his size to his advantage. And I honestly think against a couple weak Giants corners, he could get in some really good matchup for McKee. You know, McKee's another tall guy, is really good at getting that ball out of his hands at high points. And that's honestly a really good combo. Tall QB, tall wide receiver. I just think he has so much potential. And I think he could be a key guy that McKee looks for today when looking for his receiver. Like last week, it was mainly A.J. Brown was the guy he was looking for in the couple passes he had. But I think today could be Johnny Wilson. It could be getting them jump balls back in the end zone like A.J. Brown does well and just beating his receivers over the top. So I'm really looking forward to Johnny Wilson.
The key for Tanner McKee, Johnny Wilson. Some starters in uniform today: Reed Blankenship, Cooper DeJean, Kenny Gainwell, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, and Jahan Dotson are all in uniform. The Eagles can't make everyone inactive, so those guys could be kind of in reserve roles a little bit. But those are the guys that are wearing the all-black uniforms today. And Sam and I always talk about this with the uniforms. Like, we are big proponents on the all-black uniforms. I think they might be my favorite of the Eagles. And to waste them in a horrible Week 18 game against the Giants, I mean, come on. There were multiple games this year that were the perfect time to use them, and we're dealing with a 1 o'clock Giants game. I personally am not happy about the decision.
Nah, yeah, their black uniforms are really the all black just looks so slim with the helmets. It looks so sick. I'm personally a fan of the Kelly Greens. I know everybody loves them, but they're so good. But I honestly don't think it's funny. It's maybe me being biased as an Eagles fan, but I just feel like they really don't have a bad uniform. I love the Kelly Greens. I think they work so well. Even like their all white uniforms look really good, but their black ones, like you said, you want to bring them out for some special occasions, like night games is like normally the main one. And man, using them at a 1 o'clock against the Giants with almost nobody playing is kind of rough. No, and then back to what you were saying about not everybody can be inactive. That's true. I do think you're going to try to get guys like Mekhi Becton some reps. I don't know how long Kenneth Gainwell is going to be in this game. I think he will probably get the majority of the carries in the first half. I'm interested to see if Will Shipley plays today, because if he plays, maybe he could get some run too. They're another one of their young guys. I'm interested what the offensive line is really going to look like throughout the game, because Dickerson, Mailata, and Lane are all out today. And that's 3 big spots you got to fill in right there. I'm sure Cam Jurgens will get some snaps at center. I'm not sure who's going to get the backup center reps after today. I'm not sure who their go-to guy is too. I'm really another guy I'm really interested in is Trevor Keegan, one of the other young guys out of Michigan. He hasn't really gotten any playing time this year. I think he's going to get some playing time as well. I think he was a stud at Michigan. I think he could get some definite playing time. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what guys who have suited up today really and how much they play. Because like we mentioned last year, guys like Reed Blankenship and AJ Brown and Sidney Brown, they got hurt and they were big guys for them last year. So they really just want to make sure they end today's game no matter what, with the whole roster healthy as much as they can.
Yeah. All right. Let's swing it over. Let's talk about the opponent. Let's talk about the New Jersey, really. They play in Jersey. the New Jersey Football Giants, who are coming to this game 3-13. They lost their star running back this year. They lost Daniel Jones this year. Like, this has been the worst year to be a Giant of all time.
I'm saying a lot.
Maybe. And like last week they go out and Drew Lock throws for 400 yards. Malik Neighbors has like 200 yards, and they beat the Colts, knocked them out of the postseason, and look like a really good football team. Man, now that knocks them out of the number one pick. If you're the Giants, Matt, like, where do you go from here? Like, what do you do in the draft depending on what happens today? Like, what moves are you making in the front office? Because you guys just got absolutely exposed on Hard Knocks and the video of we're going to lose trouble sleeping. Saquon Barkley comes out with that commercial this week. Like, what do you do if you're the Giants?
Well, what they need to do is finally solve their quarterback problem, because it's just been a downhill slope every single year with their quarterback room. It just goes all the way back to when they drafted Daniel Jones, when they shouldn't have at the 6th pick, because no one had a first-round grade on him except for them. They drafted at 6, which is way too high to draft him in the first place. You still have Eli Manning. You basically tell Eli, we think this guy's better. You start Daniel Jones at the end of the season, and he's not better than Eli. Eli at almost 40 years old. Eli eventually retires. You make Daniel Jones your full-time starter. He sucks for the next 2 years. You finally get him a good offensive coordinated coach in Brian Dable. He wins you a playoff game. You sign him to a 4-year extension. For some reason, I didn't like that call at the time when they signed him. I was happy they did it because it made them look like idiots. And on top of that, it got a Saquon Barkley in the end. But it just put them in such a hole. The number one most important thing in the NFL is quarterbacks. Like, it's so important to have a good quarterback because, honestly, you take a look at the last 30 to 35 Super Bowl teams, if you don't have a good quarterback, you're almost not winning. Like, the only instances are the Eagles with Nick Foles, and Nick Foles was on a generational run that year. Like, that's what you pretty much need to get. You got guys like Trent Dilfer for the Ravens back in the early 2000s. And other than that, you have maybe a Brad Johnson with the Bucs. Other than that, you have pretty much almost a Super Bowl. Every Super Bowl winning quarterback is almost a Hall of Famer to this day. Like, the only ones that aren't are ones that are eventually going to get in, like Stafford and Mahomes and Brady and all them. But to this day, you need good quarterback play, and that's the number one thing the Giants need to work on this offseason. They need to. I really like Drew Lock. I think he's a solid quarterback for them. He's gotten them through this year. He's done exactly what you brought him in to do. But the problem is, until they get a stud, it's not going to work out. What I think they should do, no matter what pick they end up today, is I think they need to trade up and draft Cam Ward. Cam Ward, I think, is the only safe quarterback prospect in this class. I'm not really high on Cedar Sanders, Quinn Ewers. I don't really think Jalen Milroe will work out in the NFL. He maybe would be my maybe. I just don't think any other guy besides Cam Ward is going to work out. And at this point, if they win today, they could fall as low as 8th in the draft. And which is, to me, is just so stupid that they're winning these games when they're not supposed to be winning them. And it's going to cost them, I think, in March and April if they want a quarterback and have to trade up for one, because teams like New England and maybe even Tennessee that don't want one are going to trade back. I think New England, if they get the number one pick, they're going to trade back. And someone is going to take a quarterback one, whether it's the Giants, whether it's the Raiders, whether it's maybe even the Titans at the pick behind them that they want to trade up and make sure they get their guy at 1. So I think New England would trade back. They have Drake May. They don't need a quarterback. And I think the Giants need to be in on that conversation no matter what it costs to get up there. If you can get your stud quarterback, things could turn around for them. I personally don't want it to happen for them. I hope they crash and burn. Whoever they end up taking in April crashes and burns. It just is a bust. But if I was the Giants, they need to do everything in their power to get a quarterback starting next season, because I don't know how much longer you can go and be wasting seasons away with no quarterback play. I know everybody wants Arch Manning down the road. I don't know when he's leaving college. He could be he said he wants to be there until he's a senior, which would be 2 seasons from now in 2027. Do you really want to wait that long for him? I don't think so. I honestly think they need to go after one now, see what happens in the next couple of years, and then evaluate things going forward. But they need a quarterback badly.
Yeah, the Giants haven't had a quarterback since since like the mid 2010s with Eli Manning. Like it's been 10 years since the Giants had a real quarterback. And
no, an above average quarterback they haven't had one since I would say almost 10 years from now, 2015, which is about I think the last time the Giants went to the playoffs before 2021 when they lost to the Packers. With the boat pick and all like that. I think that was the last time like they really went into a season knowing their quarterback play was going to be great. So it's been 10 years since they've really had a true number one quarterback.
I ain't complaining. I love to
see
it.
I ain't either.
Love to see it. Do you think like the Giants saw Shedeur Sanders wearing the Giants cleats in that game and they were like, all right, we need to start winning so we don't bring this cancer into our locker room?
That might have been the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why he wore their shoes. When I saw them on Twitter, I was like, wait, these aren't real, right? He's not actually wearing Giants. And then he walked out to the field with them on. And I'm like, wow, he's wearing Giants shoes? Like, I don't understand. I don't know where. It's the funny thing with Shedeur, I think Dion is going to push his way to make sure that he goes to the team that he wants to. So if that's the Giants, I think it's going to be the Giants. If that's the Raiders, I think it's going to be. I personally think the Raiders are going to draft Shedeur, but I don't know why he would do that. I honestly think the Giants Brian Daboll, I think especially wants to win. I unfortunately think tomorrow he's getting shelled. I think they're going to fire him tomorrow on Black Monday, excuse me. I just think it's not working out with them. I think they both want to go in different directions. I don't think he honestly wants to go through a rebuild, which they're pretty much going through right now. He's frustrated by things. I think he'd rather just get fired and go back to being a coordinator for maybe even Buffalo, go back there, because I think Buffalo is going to lose maybe Joe Brady for maybe even a head coaching job. But I honestly think they're just at two different points in where they want to be right now. I think Joe Shane is not getting fired, which is dumb to me. I would have fired him after Saquon hit that 2,000-yard mark last week, just for the fact that he didn't want to resign him. And I just think it's just not working out. I think he doesn't want to go through a rookie quarterback now. They're just on different spots in the way that they want to be in their journey, and it's just not working out. But who knows what could happen tomorrow, and who knows who could happen today. Maybe they lose today, and maybe they end up getting 4. But honestly, I kind of think they're going to win today. We'll get to our predictions later, and they could end up royally screwing them even more than it did last week.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. A lot of things that are going to happen with the Giants. And meanwhile, the Eagles are focusing on next week, either Saturday or Sunday. I highly doubt Monday. That's usually the 4-5 game, so I hope it's not Monday. I hate the Monday night playoff game. And nothing angers me more. But it's either going to be the 11-5 Packers, who the Eagles played in Brazil, which felt like a lifetime ago, back in week 1, or the 11-5 Washington Commanders, who the Eagles would then be playing for the 3rd time this season. They beat them in the first meeting at the Linc. They lost to them in the final seconds in Landover, Maryland, without Jalen Hurts for most of the game. Who would you rather see? Would you rather see Green Bay or Washington come into Lincoln Financial Field for the wild card round?
This is not me being scared, but I want to see the Packers come to Philadelphia and play. I am not scared of the Washington Commanders. I will take them on if they end up being the 7th seed. But I know for a fact division games are tough. We saw it 2 weeks ago when we played them in Washington. Jane Daniels is having an electric rookie season. He's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He has been an absolute monster all season. And honestly, I don't think they really want to deal with that. No offense to Jordan Love. I was a huge Jordan Love fan. I thought Jordan Love was the 2nd best quarterback in his draft, getting back all the way to 2020. He was number 2 in my QB rankings. Can't believe that was a thing, but it was. But he's been an okay QB. I really don't think he's had the weapons on offense that have really helped him become a better quarterback. The wide receivers are okay. Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, they're all okay guys, but none of them are star wide receiver talent. Josh Jacobs has been a huge help in the running game. That's been probably their best part of their entire team this year. But I'm really not scared of this Green Bay team. I don't think there's a single person in Green Bay secondary that can guard Smitty or A.J. Brown now that Jair Alexander's out for the year, or out until the Super Bowl, I believe. We saw it during Brazil. We easily handled them with the run. Saquon went crazy that first game. I think it was 3 touchdowns he had in that game, 2 rushing, 1 receiving. Yeah, like he was all over that game, and that was a close game on a neutral site in Brazil, on like a weird, like it couldn't go anywhere kind of thing. You're kind of right when you said that. It feels like ages ago, that first Brazil game. If they come into Philly, I think Philly's going to be hot. I think the crowd is going to make sure that this game isn't really close. I think Packers are 100% the easier opponent in this scenario. Get Hurts back, make sure that you're healthy, ready to go. And this team, they're pissed off. They want to win, especially after how last year's collapse ended, especially after how 2022 ended in the Super Bowl. Most of these guys are back from that team. They want to win the Super Bowl. And they're going to go out, I think, if they get the Packers and really show that they are a threat in the NFC. Not that they can't do that against Washington. I think they could as well. But division opponents just always piss me off. It's hard to play three times in a season. You never know how that's going to end. But I definitely would rather have the Packers come here next week.
Yeah, I was going to mention the 3 times in one season. That was the storyline a few years ago when the Eagles welcomed the Giants into Lincoln Financial Field after the divisional round. They obviously absolutely destroyed the Giants and made them look like how they should have been looking throughout that season. With the Commanders, though, it's a little different. You got this new star quarterback instead. That time you're playing Daniel Jones. But I don't know. Like I would rather the Packers, just based on the last time we played them. The Eagles were a completely different team. They were a throw-first offense. They relied on the air. Jalen Hurts was turning the ball over like crazy. Now they're a run-first team. Saquon's fueled, and it's not in South America. So I think I would rather the Packers come in for that reason, and also, as you said, anything can happen in the division.
Green Bay, they're known for playing outside in Lambeau, so you don't really get the advantage with the cold. But I still, you don't even really get that with Washington either. But still, I just think that getting Green Bay here, I don't think they're really ready. This team is not as good as people think they are. I think that would be the team that they could handily beat next weekend and move on to whoever they would end up getting, whether it's it wouldn't be the next lowest. It'd be 6-5, whoever they really end up playing. I don't think it matters. They got 2 home games that they got to win both of them and hopefully get a third one for the NFC Championship.
Hopefully. Let's move in. We are 20 minutes away from kickoff, of the final kickoff of the regular season, which is it's crazy to think about. Like we're in January. It's 2025. Like it's cold. I don't like it.
I don't either.
All right. SeatGeek standout stars. Well, we need to shout out SeatGeek. They've been great all season and throughout the last few seasons with this show. They're the best. Links in the description and the bio. Save some money. These playoff tickets, I was looking at them. They're pretty expensive. I'm not going to lie. You can save $20 off with code Philly Sports Report. Philly Sports Report. $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring the show and this segment. Matt, who are your SeatGeek standout stars for the Eagles today?
So I'm going to go for one on offense and one on defense. I think that's a good spot to go. I'm going to give one of each and see how that goes. Defense, I'm going to start with. I think my star of the day is going to be another young guy who really hasn't gotten a lot of playing time this year, and that's Moro Ojomo. Ojomo out of Texas. I love Moro Ojomo. He is, I think, one of the most underrated guys on this team. I think he doesn't get enough pass rush attempts than what he's given. I think he should be given a lot more. I love how fast he gets off the ball. And honestly, I think today against a very weak Giants offensive line, when you put him against Evan Neal is god-awful, maybe the worst offensive lineman I've ever seen in my life. And that's saying a lot. I've seen a lot of bad offensive linemen. That guy can't pick up a block to save his life. I think Moro Ojomo could have a really good day today. I think if you start showing you really good signs, that could lead to next season him getting more of a role in this Eagles front seven. I think he's probably going to be a starter with some of the guys that they have out, like Jalen Carter. I don't think that Josh Sweat will be playing much. I think Josh Sweat's going to play, try and get that sack for that incentive, and then probably be out of the game so he could get his spot after that. I think he could get a sack today, Moro Jomo. That would probably be my bold prediction for him to be the star of the game. Maybe a sack or two, a lot of tackles. I think he's going to dominate against this very weak Giants offensive line. And then on offense, I'm going to go with Kenny Gainwell. I think he finds the end zone today. I think he gets majority of the team's reps in terms of the offensive running the ball. I think Kenny Gainwell, to me, has had a very impressive 2024. I always thought of him as like this little like third down back that can maybe get a pass or two. He looked like a very strong running back this year. He's gained a lot of weight. He looks a lot buffer than he has in the past. He's really embraced that number 2 running back role. The last couple of weeks, too, when Saquon has come out of games, they've been giving Kenny a lot of carries during the game. And it's really been showing that he's putting up some decent numbers in this past year. I think this will be his best rushing season overall, which makes sense as him as the number 2 every down back, or number 2 back behind Saquon. He just feels like a more physical runner to me, and I think he's going to find the end zone today. I think with the offensive line they have and the weak defense that the Giants have, I could see him getting close to 100 yards, which kind of bad if you kind of ask me if you get like him 100 and something yards. Saquon could have easily got those numbers, I'm sure, but it's okay. I think Kenny Gainwell has a very good day, finds the end zone, and I think he is my offensive star of the day.
All right, those are your SeatGeek standout stars. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring the show and the segment all season long. And make sure you go get your tickets for everything over on SeatGeek and use code Philly Sports Report. Save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. The Gamblers R Us locks of the day. You can go listen to the Gamblers R Us podcast wherever you find your podcast under Philly Sports Reports. All right, the Eagles, while they are not playing any of their starters, are still favored in this game. They are -3 on the line. The over-under is 38.5. Are you taking that line? What are you taking the over-under? Do you have any other plays for this game?
So I think a really good one today is the Giants over 16.5 points. I really like that line for the Giants. I think they'll end up scoring at least 2 touchdowns today, and then 1 field goal puts them at 17 automatically. I think they can very easily get to that. I'm honestly staying away from the Eagles being favored in this game. I don't think that when it comes push to shove that they're really going to try towards the end of this game. We just saw the Giants last weekend put up a huge number against the Colts starting defense and put up 40 points. I think the Giants can get some points on the board today. I think, honestly, they're going to have majority of the lead today, and I think it's going to be really hard, not only for the Eagles to win, I think it's going to be really hard for them to cover as well. So I would stay away from that 3.5. I feel you have to. I think I'd bet Giants plus 3.5 to get the points. I really like the Giants over 16.5 today. I also kind of like the over as well, the 38.5. I think the Giants are going to score a little bit. I think the Eagles with McKee will put some good drives together. Another big lock I had today. I mentioned with my standout star of the day, but Kenneth Gainwell, I think he finds the end of the day. I think he would be the guy. If I had to pick one guy to score a touchdown, it would be him. I think guys like Malik Neighbors, I don't think I would touch him. I think, honestly, our corners are going to lock him up pretty well. I don't think he's going to have, I shouldn't say lock up. I don't think he's going to have this big, 150-yard receiving day that people keep thinking he's going to have. He'll probably have close to 100, probably catch about 6-7 balls, but I don't think it's going to be anything more crazy than that. I don't think he'll find the end zone. I think they're going to lock in on him. I think it could give people like Tyrone Tracy maybe a chance to score, or Wan'Dale Robinson, something like that. But I would say I would go over on the points, Giants, 16.5 total for the game. I'd like the over 38.5. I think Kenneth Gainwell touchdown is a big one, and I would stay away from that 3.5 points for the Eagles.
All right, those are your Gamblers RS locks, and here is your FOCO Fit Check. Thank you to FOCO for sponsoring. Link in the description and the bio. You can save 10% off all in-stock items. They're going to have stuff rolling out for the postseason. They got Saquon 2,000-yard stuff, so go check that out. Before we go over what we're wearing, I want to document this shirt that Saquon Barkley is wearing today. He isn't playing, cool, so he's rocking the 2K Say shirt. There it is. You got the offensive line. You got Cam Jurgens holding up Saquon. Now, where are we able to buy these shirts? Here's the back. How about them boys in the
Hell yeah.
up front?
Hell yeah.
How do we purchase?
I'm not sure. I think if we go to foco.com, you could get one of those shirts.
It would be very cool if Foco could hook so. And if you see these links in the comments, don't click them. Those are scams. But it is a cool shirt. Hopefully, maybe Foco can put out something cool like that soon. But yeah, for the Foco Fit Check, Sam always wears a different jersey for every game. Neither of us are wearing jerseys. But Matt, what's the shirt of choice today?
Shirt of choice today. I love America and I love the Eagles. I got both of them combined into a shirt.
There you go.
Red, white, and blue flag in the Eagles logo with the nice little eagle right there. I don't know if you see that. There we go. Yeah, see that eagle right there? I've had this shirt for, I think, I want to say about a couple years now, maybe a year or two now. My favorite shirt to wear like in the summer for like 4th of July, Memorial Day, all of them. It fits so well. It's one of my favorites to wear. Whenever I don't wear a jersey, this is one of my favorite Eagles. I have this one and I have like one of the Kelly Green, a gray like Kelly Green logo shirt. But those are probably my two. But this one, nice little American flag today, representing America like we always need to do.
Yeah, I'm wearing the Kelly Green hoodie today. It's not a jersey game today.
No.
Not a jersey game, so it's a chill game today. So that's what we're going with. All right. Thank you to Foco for sponsoring that segment. Go check out them. And now we got the keys to the game. Matt, what are your keys for Tanner McKee for an Eagles victory today?
So first big key is 100% keeping the ball in the Eagles' hands. I think they need to dominate time possession. I think that if they were able to keep the ball out of the Giants' offense's hands, that would be a really big key for them winning today's game. The less the Giants have the ball and the less Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy can touch the ball, I think those are two really big things that if they can prevent that, that'd be really good. Doing that, so I think they need to have smart pass plays on offense. Make sure Tanner McKee, take your checkdowns. Don't make stupid passes. Don't go into triple coverage. Find the read. If it's not there, throw it into the dirt. Find the next play. No turnovers is a big thing, like I mentioned. Not throwing into bad coverage. Holding on to the ball. He's going to have backup offensive linemen in there, so he's got to make sure he's ready for those strip sack fumbles. And honestly, I think pounding the run's a big thing today. I don't think the Giants can handle the Eagles' rush offense. I think even with their backup offensive linemen, and these guys, they're hungry. They want to show what they can do on the offensive line. Last time we played them, we pounded the run with Saquon. He had a fantastic game. And then another key for the game is attacking the quarterback. I mentioned with Moro Jomo, this is a really weak offensive line for the Giants. Evan Neal's not that great. John Michael Schmidt's their center. He's okay, not really that great. They're mixing and matching guys. A lot of guys have been injured for them. I do think that I believe they're 27th in pressure rate against the blitz this year, which is something the Eagles have done a lot. They like to bring the blitz. Going to have a guy like Jeremiah Trotter out there this weekend, probably starting for Nick Bond. Oren Burks, another one. They're going to be bringing the rush. So I really want to see them get after Drew Lock, get pressure in his face, make him try to make bad throws. And this secondary is still probably going to play a little bit today. Some of the young guys, DeJean, I think Quignon might play a little bit too. If they can lock up these receivers, I think we can bring the blitz and get pressure off. That could be a really bad thing for Drew Lock, and I think that he's going to make some bad throws, maybe grab some turnovers. But I think attacking the QB and keeping the ball out of the Giants' hands, 100%, the two big keys for today's game.
All right, it's week 18, so there are some storylines around the NFL for some last games for guys, possible last games with the organization for guys. Well, it just came out. Per Ian Rappaport, several people close to Aaron Rodgers say that he is preparing for this to be the final game of his career.
Wow.
So 10 Pro Bowls, 4 All-Pros, 4 MVPs, 1 Super Bowl. Obviously, the Aaron Rodgers and Jets whole thing didn't go great. But if this is the end for Aaron Rodgers, it's been one heck of a run.
It kind of sucks. Growing up, I was not a huge Rodgers fan, but I liked Aaron Rodgers. I always saw him as a guy who could sling it well in the NFC. Those were kind of during not the dark times, but the early 2010s for the Eagles was like they could never really get over that hump. They were kind of at the back end of the Andy Reid tenure and just not having good seasons. And I always kind of like Aaron Rodgers. It's unfortunate that's the way it's gone down. He forced his way out of Green Bay, forced his way to New York as well. That bad Achilles injury last year. and really just taking over the team as a whole, pretty much forcing them to trade for Devontae Adams, who now nobody wants on the team anyway. But if this is the end for Aaron Rodgers, he's going to go down as probably a top 10 quarterback of all time. That only that one Super Bowl does kill him a little bit. Before MVPs, I got to see where he is for numbers wise in touch. I know he's going for 500 touchdown today. He's definitely going to throw one. They're going to make sure he throws one today. I think Devontae Adams definitely wants to catch that as well. It's probably be a special thing for the two of them. But man, the Jets, they're in a really tough spot now going forward. They might be another guy who could be trading up at that number one pick to get a quarterback if they really want one, because now they're going to be in the hole with Rodgers retiring. So it'll be an interesting thing for the Jets this offseason and for how they move forward post Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, maybe Aaron Rodgers will go into his darkness space again and end up coming back to the Jets. But we'll see what happens with that. All right, let's get to our predictions today. Make sure to put your predictions in the chat. We'll go over them. So if the Giants win, they get a worse draft pick in the draft. And personally, as the Eagles don't need to win or lose this game, I am personally rooting for a Giants win today. So give me the Giants 20-17 over the Philadelphia Eagles today. Go Big Blue.
I like it. I'm in a similar spot. I think the Giants are going to win. I have the Giants winning 24-20. I do think Tyrone Tracy finds the end zone today for the Giants. I think he could be a bit of a problem for the Eagles. I think Drew Lock does finds enough open guys to manage a couple touchdowns and field goal drives down to the Eagles. And honestly, by the end of the game, I think a lot of the really, really big backups are going to be in for the Eagles. I think it's crazy to say that I want the Giants to win today's game, because you don't want to ever lose a game. But if the Giants win today, they're probably going to be somewhere around the 6th, 7th, and 8th pick. And compared to them being at 4, which is the highest they can be, that's night and day. If they go from 4 to 8 today, that's incredible, in my opinion. It just forces them to have to trade up more and more assets if they want to get up to the top of the draft and take a quarterback. It just makes things harder for them in their rebuild. So I have the Giants winning 24-20. I think they do enough to get by the Eagles' backups and win today's game.
Back-to-back wins for the Giants. I mean,
great way to end.
Restart the season. Let's go. Let's get a rerun. It's a
great way to end the year. Back-to-back wins. Like I mentioned with Brian Dable, this could be Dable's last game. I think he wants to go out with a win because he's ready to go, maybe either find a new job as a coordinator, maybe even a head coach. But he wants to go out with a win in the 2024-2025 season now.
All right, we got a prediction here. 31-17 Eagles, so I guess the starters are playing today.
I don't know if they're going to be able to put up 31. I would love to see it, but I've seen not a lot from Jahan Dotson and Johnny Wilson to put up 31 points on offense. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, that's going to do it from us today. Thank you to everybody for watching the final Eagles pregame show of the 2024 regular season. Thank you to SeatGeek and Coco and Get With Our podcast, as always, for being the best. Check out PhillySportsBooks.com postgame for the game summary. And throughout the week, we're going to have coverage throughout the week. I have half days of school all week, so I'll be pumping out as much as I can throughout this week. Make sure to check all of us out on social media. My Twitter ad is right there. Matt has his right under his name as well, so go check us out over there, and Philly Sports everywhere. Thank you all for watching. We will see you in the postseason. Go Birds.
Go Birds.